You know, Kim Williams, the boss of the ABC, was talking to staffers last week about the fact that they need to have more hard news on their website rather than these soft lifestyle stories. So I thought, well, let's see if that's changed. I went onto the ABC News website today. There wasn't much hard news, but there was this. Look at this headline. Dark skies are a library for Indigenous knowledge systems, but light pollution threatens them. This was an article by Crystal Di Napoli, who's a very smart lady. She's an author and an astrophysicist, and she was lamenting the fact that 80% of the world's population, and I quote, don't have access, get this, to dark skies.
No.
80% of the world's population don't have access, not to light, to electricity, to water, to food. They don't have access to dark skies.
It's called the first world versus the third world.
She goes on to say that as an astrophysicist, artificial lighting is irritating because you're trying to look up into the stars and it's a bit annoying if you're an astrophysicist. But she writes, quote, as an Aboriginal woman, light pollution is devastating as it hides our library of stars used to guide a healthy and informed engagement with country. The article goes on, but it concludes with what you and I can do to help Indigenous people connect with country. She concludes, reassurance can be found in recognising that unlike many other pollutants, removing light pollution from an ecosystem can be as simple as turning off the lights. So, there you go. That's how you can help Indigenous people connect with culture. Just turn the lights off.
I'm sorry, I literally cannot imagine.
This was on the main news website of the ABC.
The self-entitlement of someone who is literally writing an article. And by the way, this was by ABC Science, everybody. So very scientific article this was. But the self-entitlement of someone to write... This was quite a lengthy article. Yeah. Explaining why you should turn your lights off because some of us want to see the stars. Like we're all at home sitting in high-back Chesterfields giggling to ourselves, I've left the lights on. Like, please...
You can't afford to leave the lights on anymore.
The lights on because
point.
Otherwise we'd be sitting in the dark. It's not some indulgence that we're just like, light up the house, love, turn every single... I mean, it just... I could not believe this article that you're now encouraging people to turn the lights off so you can see the stars. I'm sure I'd love to see the stars too, but I would never encourage everyone to then turn their lights off so I can see them. I'll just take myself out somewhere rural where there is less light pollution and enjoy the stars.
I was driving home the other night and people had their lights on. I'm thinking, geez, so many racists in there.
and that's the thing. There are
driving
places.
around with headlights, that's another one. Drive around without your headlights on, please, because, again, that's more unnecessarily light pollution.
Well, it's one way to sort of weed out the people you don't want in society, isn't it? A bit of Darwinism at work. But actually, she may have a point here because, of course, the vast majority of light pollution is caused by street lighting, and street lighting is generally run by councils. So if she wants to take the fight up against councils, then I'm all on board with it.
But that's a safety issue.
I know.
The councils as you say... getting mugged in dark alleys now.
That's it. Yeah, well, that's it. You should get mugged in darkness and raped and whatever because we've got to be able to look at the stars at night. But you are right, Liz. There are places you can go where there is no light pollution. And sure, there are fewer and fewer of them now, and I understand that some people like to look up at the night sky and see the total darkness and whatever, but it's called human progress, right? And, like, what does she want us to turn into Africa or something? Like, it's human progress. We have to live. We have to be safe. We have access to electricity, thank God. Like, what are we meant to just turf all of this stuff out and go back to living in caves again? But I suppose this is the argument sometimes of if we want to go down the Indigenous road, and this is what she's arguing as an Indigenous woman, that it is hurtful to her that she can't enjoy the night sky as her ancestors did. And the argument sometimes seems to be that, and it's the same, we talk about living on stolen land, etc., that we should go back to how things were before Australia was colonised, right? And it ain't ever gonna happen. It can't happen. If life was so much better before Australia was colonised, it wouldn't have been colonised in the first place. And there are other places in the world where you can go where they live without electricity. But do you want to live there? I don't think so.